The fake narrative that has helped Usyk keep his belt. So there was this whole big thing that Usyk wasn't as big as other heavyweights, and yes, he's not as big as Tyson Fury, but actually Usyk isn't a small man. I forget his exact stats. I think it's like 6'3". He's a decent. I think he's the same. I think he's heavier than Muhammad Ali was. He's about the same size as a lot of great heavyweights were. And a lot is being made of his size. And I think of Mike Tyson. He wasn't even a 6-footer. But so much has been made of Usyk's size, and I think as a result, what you've heard from AJ's camp, when you listen to Frank Warren and his fighters when they take on Usyk, Eddie Hearn, all of them seem to have this idea that the way to beat Usyk is to steamroller him. And in spite of the fact that Fury tried it and just ended up looking a fool, missing, like he did worse when he tried that. AJ just got spanked. And Dubois, Dubois was cutting off the ring. Admittedly, he wasn't letting the punches go and he wasn't throwing a jab, but and that's on him. But we've seen that he can hurt people, he can do things. He was outclassed, and yeah, fair enough. But Dubois was cutting off the ring. Dubois was trying to hit him hard. Dubois was doing the things, not as good as perhaps we'd like, but he was doing the things that everybody said, if you do this to Usyk, you'll hurt him. He hit him with a hard shot, which looked like a low blow, but he hit him with a hard shot, no reaction. And as I said in my reaction video, every single time that Dubois got himself into a position to let his power go, every time, so Dubois was working hard just to get into that position. He's throwing punches, missing, and trying to cut off the ring. And he's not got great ring IQ, but he was trying to cut off the ring, which is the right thing, so that he could. But Usyk's too quick. In and out, in and out. He couldn't corner him, not really. When he did, like I say, he wasn't really throwing the volume punches, and when he was missing. And then what Dubois did was, and like I said, Usyk surprised me, because not only was he more aggressive than I've ever seen, he was going for a knockout. He was standing in the pocket at times as well, and I was like, Usyk's going to get tagged. He's being too cocky, or I didn't know what he was doing at the time, but he's going to get tagged. And it's going to be over all by a fluke punch or whatever. But he didn't. What he did was he got in line with AJ with Dubois, and he was I think he was matching his foot movement, watching his foot movement, and he knew when Dubois was gonna throw a big punch, because basically nearly every punch that Dubois was throwing was with lever in it, and so he timed him. And every time Dubois was in a position to land a hard punch on Usyk, as he landed his punch, Usyk was already firing back a counter punch, which, although Usyk's not as hard a puncher, his superior positioning and distance between him and Dubois meant that he wasn't even having to extend his arm to hit Dubois in the face. So it was a proper close range smack. And whereas Dubois was having to reach to get his punch in, so the result was Dubois was getting hit a lot harder, and more to the point, Dubois' chin, I don't think he's got a chin like Usyk, because Usyk would take the hit that he got, and Dubois was visibly staggered. Happened in round 1, and it happened in multiple other rounds, just for a moment. And there was one round particularly, I can't remember what one it was, he got stunned, and you see Dubois walking backwards, which is unusual. Give him his credit, he comes forwards. He was walking backwards. But I don't think he quit. When he got knocked on his arse the first time, I thought, oh, he's going to want to quit. But you knew when he got up that he was either too hurt or too something. You knew that he wasn't going to survive. I think, even though he didn't look out on his feet, you knew he wasn't going to survive. Usyk had just, like I say, every time Dubois got him into a position, it's almost like a bit like the AJ fight, but a bit more technical. In as much as every time AJ thought he was in a position to hit Dubois hard, Dubois would hit him harder and drop him. And that's kind of what sort of happened here. Dubois would hit Usyk with what he, with a planned hard punch. Usyk would outmaneuver him and deliver a far harder, better punch. And boom. And that with all the in and out work, the feints and all the other work that Usyk's doing as well, was also obviously tiring. And tiredness when you're getting hit is a big deal. But yeah, I felt like Dubois didn't really have a chance in that fight, which surprised me. And Usyk standing in the pocket surprised me. But the knockout didn't, surprisingly enough. Usyk had his number, and he said afterwards, they said to him, oh, did you learn anything from 2 years ago? And he said, yeah, I've had 2 years to prepare for this. And I think he meant it. I think he knew Dubois was going to come round again. And yeah, you could tell. You could tell he was ready for him. He was ready for his style. He was ready for everything. And I suppose the only question really is, when is the the boxing community going to give Usyk his proper props? People are just starting to say he's great in that now, but, he's beating everybody. He's beating everybody. The guy is crazy good, and there's no sort of way of getting around it now. He's beating everybody. He's cleaned the decks. Name somebody who's actually good right now that he's not fought, except for the young lions coming up, which if he chooses to take them on, fair play. So do you know what I mean? It's tons of respect to Usyk, and like I say, Dubois. It wasn't even that Dubois wasn't in the fight. A lot of people say, oh, he didn't look right, and I don't think that's true. I just think he was completely and utterly outskilled, and it made you realise as well that perhaps the punch resistance of Fury and the punch resistance of AJ isn't as bad as you thought, because Dubois was literally getting hurt with one hit at a time. And this is what you saw in the AJ fight as well. When AJ did hit Dubois about twice, he hurt him. But yeah, got levelled. And so I don't know where to rate Dubois. I think this says more about Usyk's ability to adapt and overcome. But I don't know that it says much about Dubois. He got schooled and it didn't look very good. But being beaten by Usyk and outschooled by Usyk, everybody has been. So how do you rate him? He's beaten Joshua. Would he beat Fury? I think Fury could box his head off if he used the same tactics as Usyk. He wouldn't do it cleanly, but I still think he could do it. Although Fury gets hit easier. Where would you rate him at the moment? I don't know. I don't know where you would rate Dubois. But you can't take it away from him. He still became a heavyweight champion, and he went for all the marbles at a young age. And in this world where boxers get, blackballed for losing one fight, I hope that the only thing I will say for Dubois is he threw the dice and he took on the best in the world to try and make history. That shouldn't be punished. You were going to come first or second. There's only 2 places, and he came second. And that's just the way it is. But he came in as a champion, and he didn't try and avoid, he didn't try and duck. He came in as a champion, and he tried, and he failed. I got respect for that. No failed drug tests, no this, no that. Just a straight up fight where the best man won. It's nice. It's nice not to have the controversy, But good on Usyk. Fair play to Usyk. But I don't know how to rate Daniel Dubois from this, I'm certainly not going to be one of these people that says, oh, should Daniel Dubois retire? No, he's in his 20s, so it was so stupid, But, yeah. If you've got any opinions, let me know what you think.